What's happening? What's happening? What's happening, everybody? And welcome to another edition of SWACtalk, the show where we cover the SWAC inside and out. I'm your host, Charles Wells, aka C Wells, your SWAC tour guide. And we're going to continue taking this tour around the SWAC. We drive the whip on over to Prairie View, Texas. Gonna check out the Panthers and see what they are up to and what I think they're gonna do in the fall. Before we do all of that, as usual, socials down on the screen below. So feel free to check those out, like, subscribe, follow, whatever. Um, Check out the show on podcast form, Swag Talk, anchor.fm/Swag Talk. Also can be found on Spotify, Stitcher, Breaker, Google Podcasts, Apple Podcasts. Right now on the YouTube channel, we're up to 289 subscribers, I believe. Last time I just looked. So we're getting close to 300. So I'd like to thank everybody for that. As usual, if you want to show a little love, hit the Cash App, $ Swag Talk. Not a lot to really say today. Prairie View preview, Sunday, Southern preview. Next Wednesday, Texas Southern preview. The following Sunday, UAPB preview. Then the week 0, SWAC MEAC Challenge preview. And on Thursdays, every Thursday, SWAC Smoke with my homie DJ. So feel free to check that out. We just sit back and chop it up. Little different form than what I do here. So make sure you check that out on Thursdays. Y'all been showing a lot of love with that. So we definitely appreciate that. And I appreciate all the love that y'all showing me right now. I'm trying to do my best to bring the best content that I can. I deliver my SWAC content with love. I hope y'all can feel that and see that. So with all that being said, man, let's talk Panthers. Prairie View went 2-1 in the spring. Did not have a very Prairie View-like season, even with a winning record. Offensively, Prairie View was not good at all. They averaged 101 yards per game rushing, which is very unlike them. They did throw for over 200 yards a game, but just not really that Prairie View offensive effort that you're used to seeing. They scored 20, 17, and 31 points in their 3 games. So they lost Jalen Morton at quarterback after the 2019 season and DeWanya Tucker at running back after the 2019 season. Those were 2 huge losses. Also lost a few receivers, but those were some really big losses. And they did not get really good quarterback play, nor a good play from the running game, which kind of torpedoed their season. I do like Prairie View's offensive line. They've been a pretty solid offensive line the last few years. And, they do a pretty good job of protecting the quarterback. But when you had 2 young quarterbacks playing, there's not much to really expect, especially in a spring type of season. So I think if they would not have had to play in the spring, it would have just practiced in the spring and then had a fall camp and then played like they probably would have done in 2020. I think the offense would have been a little bit better because those guys would have been able to get those reps in practice, and not just in live games. And then they had that pause for a bulk of the season, which also threw off the timing and chemistry of the offense. They do bring in 2 nice pieces from the transfer portal. The biggest piece, literally and figuratively, is Juwan Puma Pass, quarterback from Louisville. He's a big guy. He's like 6'5", so he's a big body quarterback. Really strong runner. Pretty good arm, not the best arm, but he decision making was his biggest issue at Louisville. He also had some turnover issues. He ended up losing his job to Malik Cunningham. I don't know which one he go by now, but he lost his job to him and just was never able to get it back. So he can flourish in this offense, especially with some of that quarterback run game. He can help, that running game and just, being able to be a stabilizing force for that offense because that's what they need. I like Trezon Connolly at quarterback. He's a really good runner. He can throw the ball, but he's not the best passer. But he's a really solid runner. He can lead that team, but he just doesn't have the experience right now. So if he can flourish behind a guy like Juwan Pass, I'll push him because there's no guarantee that anybody going to walk in and win a job. But if he can challenge in that position and he wins it, then I think that means Connolly's playing very well. So I think quarterback is probably going to be the biggest question mark. The running game got another boost when they added Lindamian Brooks, who was the leading rusher at Grambling in the spring. So he's a guy who can catch the ball in the backfield. He also can run it pretty well. So that's what that's what they need. And like I said, they have a good offensive line, so that's not a problem. They gave up, I believe, 8 or 9 sacks on the season. So they did a decent job protecting the quarterback. Less than 25 tackles for loss were allowed as a defense. So they can make plays, they can protect and open up holes, but they didn't really do a great job with a running game. They only averaged like 3.2 yards per carry. So that's something that's gonna definitely have to be fixed. Because you can't go anywhere without a running game. That's just, unless you have like an Alabama A&M type of passing game, which they can run the ball better than people think. They just don't run it that much, but that's neither here nor there. On the other side of the ball, defensively, it all starts up front. Jason Dumas, Louisiana boy, Vacherie, St. James Parish. You guys not from Louisiana don't know that area, but that's a very strong football area. And that guy's a beast on the defensive line, man. He's going to command attention. He's going to make plays. He led the team in sacks with 3 on the season. He was the second leading tackler with 20 on the season, 7.5 tackles for loss. So that's a guy that's disruptive. You have to know where he's at all times, because he's gonna make some plays. He's gonna disrupt things. He's gonna cause a lot of problems. So you have to know where he's at. The biggest loss on defense, obviously, was Story Jackson. He transferred to Liberty. He was the leading tackler on the team. He had 50 tackles in 3 games. That averages out to like 17 tackles a game, which led the FCS. So with a guy that's getting 50 tackles in 3 games, and then your second leading guy is 20 tackles, this is a guy that's always around the football. So he's gonna leave a big hole to fill. All-American guy, just a really, really great linebacker. Trayshawn Smith's a guy who's gonna step in and try to help fill that hole. But I don't think one guy fills that hole. So I think defensively they're gonna have to kind of come together and make those kind of plays that he would make. They also lost Reggie Stubblefield, who was one of their top corners, but they returned Drake Cheatham in the secondary. He's a guy who can make some plays, and just help that defense. So I'm not like the highest on Prairie View, but I think this team does have the potential to be a problem, especially if their offense can come together. So with that being said, man, let's take a look at the season, what their schedule looks like. Coach Dooley is going into his 3rd year. Some people feel like he may not be the most secure coach in his job right now, but that's something that I'm feeling like maybe if the season doesn't go well, he could possibly be on the hot seat. But I'm looking for him to improve. But my prediction is probably not going to show that, because I'm just not fully sold on the offense right now. So let's look at the schedule. They open up their season on September 4th against Texas Southern in Houston in BBVA Stadium, the Orange Seat Palace. In the Labor Day Classic, Texas Southern gave Prairie View all they could handle in the spring, and they probably by all right should have won that game. They didn't. Prairie View found a way to score late to win. I think this is going to be another game like that. I think Texas Southern has a really good chance in this game. They definitely have a good chance in this game with Jalen Brown at quarterback. Jonathan Giles is a guy who's looking to step up in the spring. In the fall from what he did in the spring. Then you got a guy like Michael Badajoe on defense. So they have, Texas Southern is putting together some pieces. Coach McKinney is definitely going to have those guys ready to play. But I think Prairie View is going to find a way to survive. That's kind of the motto of this series. The last couple of years, this last year and this year, in my opinion, is going to be surviving. So I think Prairie View will be able to have enough to get by Texas Southern, but I would not be surprised if Texas Southern gets a jump on them and is able to win this game. But I'm going to go with Prairie View for the sake of my predictions. September 11th, they go to San Antonio to take on Incarnate Word. This is a team that went 3-3 in the spring, but they put up a gang of points all season. They scored over 40 points, I think, 5 times out of their 6 games. The only game they didn't score over 40 points was against Sam Houston State when they only scored 14. But the flip side of it, the defense gave up more than 30 points, four out of the 6 games, including 75 to Nickel State. So this is a defense that if your offense can play, you can score on them. But second week of the season, with so much uncertainty on Prairie View's offense, I'm hesitant to pick them, especially if it becomes a shootout. I don't know if they can stand in there and score, tit for tat. But I'm gonna go with Incarnate Word right now. Now, if Prairie View come out look really sharp against Texas Southern, and they have a nice offensive effort, I can be swayed to kind of make this game a pick'em type of game. But right now, I'm gonna go with Incarnate Word. Moving on to the next game on September 18th, they face Houston Baptist. Houston Baptist is another team that didn't have. I think they won one game They played in the fall. They did not play in the spring, so I think they won one game in the fall, and they scored a lot of points too, and gave up a lot of points as well. So this is again a team who can score points, but they can't stop anybody. 2 weeks into the season, I think Prairie View may have a better idea of what they want to do. So I'm going with Prairie View because they're playing at home. Houston Baptist is not a great team. These are the kind of games that by hook or by crook, the SWAC needs to win. Everybody's been saying that. Anytime you talk SWAC football right now, everybody's saying non-conference wins are imperative. And, when you play a team that's not that good, you need to beat them. I don't care if you're not that good. You still need to find a way to win these games. For me, not so much because of outside perception, because, I don't really care about outside eyes and outside opinions. And I know a lot of people who didn't go to SWAC schools or went to other FCS schools, but outside perception is not what fuels my want for teams to win. I just feel like when teams win games out of conference, it makes games in conference that much better because you're playing teams who have been tested and have won against other teams. I worry about what I worry about inside and not so much outside. So this win is important just for the SWAC in and of itself, not necessarily to impress, anybody out there who just wants to, see somebody from the SWAC win. So I think Prairie View will win that game. September 25th, Dallas, Texas State Fair Classic. Gremlins lost to Prairie View the last 3 years. I think Prairie View is going to continue that streak. I don't know what kind of game they expect, though. There's been 2 defensive type of games. There's been an offensive game where defense did not show up. I think Prairie View's defense is going to get them through this game. Gremlins' offense is still going to be a question mark to me at this point in the season. Gremlin defense, I don't know how close they are to playing Gremlin style defense, but a game like this, you can always toss everything out. Both teams are going to bring it. Gremlin's going to play hard. They can find a way to win this game. There is an outcome that can show Gremlin winning this game. If it don't take 14 million outcomes like Dr. Strange, but Gremlin, if they can get some stops and Prairie View's offense isn't where it needs to be yet, then I think that they can win this game. But I think Prairie View will win and move on to the next game, which is a Thursday night game, giving them a short week. They play against Arkansas Pine Bluff. This is a game that I'm very, very interested in because these 2 teams played at the end of the spring, and Pine Bluff beat Prairie View 36-31, I believe. Prairie View came into that game with very few running backs, if any, and they still were able to stay in that game. So I think this can be a game that Prairie View can give themselves a really good chance to win. To me, this game is going to decide the third place team in the division, but I'm a little bit higher on Pine Bluff, especially right now. So I'm going to go with Pine Bluff in this game, give them that win, which sends them into a bye week. Coming off the bye week, Prairie View plays in Daytona on October 16th against Bethune-Cookman. this is a game I'm really interested in seeing. This is a long trip for Prairie View. Basically, the two extreme teams in each division hooking up on the East Coast. And this is going to be, I think this is going to be a very physical game. I think Prairie View defense is very physical. I think Bethune-Cookman loves to play physical football. Both teams are coming into this game as far as previews go, preseason. They're both coming in with offensive questions. By this point in the season, you kind of hope that everybody's ironed out their issues. I'm going to go with Bethune-Cookman mainly because they're playing at home. I know that's not the best prediction to make, but I think this is going to be a close game. And, you know, obviously Prairie View's playing better football, then I think they have a better chance of winning this game. But right now, on paper, I'm going to go with Bethune-Cookman, which sends them into their next game on October 23rd in Baton Rouge against Southern. That's Southern's homecoming. Southern's won the last, I think they've won every game in the series since 2015, which ironically was their homecoming, and Prairie View ruined it. So the Panthers may be hungry to ruin another Southern homecoming. 2019, these two teams played a very entertaining game. Not really a classic type game, but a very good game. Jalen Morton went to work late in this game and kept Prairie View in the game, but Southern was able to withstand them and score basically every time they scored. Southern responded to keep the lead at not a comfortable distance, but a distance that would allow them to win. I'm kind of leaning to more of a game like that again. Obviously, Prairie View's offense is going to be the huge question mark because I think both defenses are going to be ready. This is going to be a physical game. It's going to be an emotional game. Coach Dooley has a lot of ties to Southern. I mean, he also has ties to Grambling as well. But that's a classic rivalry game, so their emotions are always high. But ever since Coach Dooley's been at Prairie View the last couple of years, this has been a very emotional game. If you remember, 2018 was the uniform game when Prairie View had uniforms that were deemed to be illegal. They would go on to lose that game. 2019, Southern got upset because Prairie View ran basically from end to end on their field in pre-games, and Southern was not happy about that. So there was some trash talk back and forth, but I think Southern will find a way to win this game. Prairie View will be very competitive, and I would not be surprised if they found a way to win this game, but I'm going to go with Southern. November 6th, they're back home against Alabama State. Again, two very good defenses. Alabama State's offense is a little bit better at this point on paper, primarily because of Ezra Gray, Ja'Cory Merritt, and Ryan Nettles. But I think Prairie View's defense is capable of helping them win this game, and if their offense can bring anything to the table, I think they can. I think they can win this game. I think they will win this game to get themselves a nice W over a team who can finish almost anywhere in the East Division. The next game on the schedule is November 13th at Alcorn. This is now a division matchup. 2019, again, kind of got to go back just to kind of, show previous matchups. Alcorn and Prairie View played in a very, very close game. Prairie View couldn't get the W. That team is not the same as this team. That Alcorn team on paper is similar to this team, so I'm going with Alcorn. Alcorn is very tough on the reservation. It's tough to win up there, and I'm not just saying that because I'm a Southern fan, but it's very tough to win at Alcorn. If you don't come ready, they're going to get you, and I think Prairie View is going to be in for some trouble in that game. November 20th, they go to Texas Station to take on the Aggies. Not much needs to be said. This is the annual SEC pre-rivalry week FCS game that almost everybody plays. I think Jimbo and his boys will be ready to take care of business and move on for their next game. Prairie View a dude like Anthony Mackie and say, cut the check, and they're going to get their check and move on to their last game on the season, which is November 27th at home against Valley. Valley is a dangerous team, but I always say Valley is not the same Valley away from home. If Valley wants to become that kind of team, they have to win these kind of games on the road. I don't think that Valley is there right now, so I'm going to go with Prairie View to win this game, which gives them a record of 5-6 on the season. Again, that's not a great record. But I think this team will be a better team. Like I said, the offensive questions are what's going to have to be answered. I can see them winning 7 games on the season if they can beat like Pine Bluff and Bethune-Cookman. I think that'll get them 7 wins. Worst case, I see them winning 4 games. I don't see them winning anything less than that. So I think they're going to be like in that middle of the pack type of team. I'm going with 5-6 just because that's what I see right now on paper, but I can be easily talked into 6-5 for sure, which I think would definitely help them moving into 2022 with a winning record and some momentum. So with that being said, that's our Prairie preview Thursday, another edition of Swag Smoke with the homie DJ. And Sunday, we're talking Southern Jags. So y'all be sure to check out SWACtalk podcast. Got the Prairie preview up. And continue to tune in here, man. This is your home for SWAC football, covering the SWAC inside and out. I'm your tour guide, C. Wells, and I'm signing out, man. Y'all enjoy the rest of y'all day. We're going to get up on out of here. Later.